Oh look, it's another video by ItsGuestGaming about Weapon H. This one's different though, because it's on my channel. And I get to say different things. Not because they're that different, but because we need to talk about Weapon H in a good or garbage sense. So if you've already taken a look and seen the 4 decks that were showcased on the official Marvel Snap channel, this video is not those four decks again. Let me be very, very clear here, okay? Today on Good or Garbage, it is not about if I did something right. This is the last video that I'm recording live before I go away on vacation for a month. Don't worry, there's still videos coming out anywhere from 3 to 6 a week over the next several weeks. Taxi, this is not the time, okay? You gonna go lay on your bed now? Yes, sad dog. All right, there you go. So what I wanted to do for this Good or Garbage video on talking about Weapon H is, instead of re-showcasing the same 4 decks and seeing those test results, people are going to play those decks no matter what because they're in the official video. However, this is another great opportunity then to showcase and take a look at 4 decks that I found within the community, and I'm going to try those today because I've already played my 4 decks. I already know the results on those 4 decks, and I'll tell you them at the end of the video as well, and what worked and what didn't, and why, more importantly. But I did want to talk about Weapon H in a different context, so let's do that. Okay? For those who do not know, or you don't remember, 714 is Weapon H. When discarded, put this back with -2 cost. Okay? -2 cost. So this is a 714 that's never a 714 if you're playing discard. That's the TLDR of it. You discard it, it goes back into the hand like Apocalypse. -2, -2, -2, -2, -2. Well, -1 at that point, because then it's free. So there is a certain amount of benefit to that, because this is a card, ideally, you look at and go, I want to play this. But not always, okay? There's a couple of different reasons why. Let's take a look at a couple of decks that showcase that. First off, I've got BLH from Tucker, which is a take on the term BLT, and he decided to make a bacon, lettuce, and H. I don't know, Tucker, I'm asking you. So this is a Black Knight build, and it's one of the things that he loves to play the most, and it's pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. You have Black Knight on the board, you discard either Weapon H or Infinite, you get either the 14 power Ebony Blade or the 20 power Ebony Blade in your hand, and you also have Quinjet, which then makes it a 3 cost. But Quinjet synergizes with Iron Patriot and Valentina just as equally. You have the option of bringing back something, maybe a little bit early. Maybe you ramp out Sarah by just going Blade into Sarah, discard that, and then Ghost Rider it back on turn 4. Or you ramp into it by playing Luna Snow because you discarded Blade on discarded using Blade on the Weapon H on turn 1. Now it's a 514, you go into Luna Snow, boom, just play the 514. Big numbers make big things. The real benefit of it, though, is the fact that Ebony Blade just is a big body. For very cheap, just like what Weapon H wants to do, but it's kind of shortcutting. It's removing one of the discard hurdles by having it on the board. So if you get to discard it with Lady Sif, hey, look, that's great, woohoo, great, kudos, all the more power to you. But if you don't, well, it does kind of feel weird. So I'm a little hesitant with this deck, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little hesitant with this deck because it only has 2 discarders. It's really leaning more into the Quinjet, Iron Patriot, Valentina side of things that has a Black Knight game plan. So I'm curious about this style, which is why I wanted to see how many discard cards does it take to get to the center of the Weapon H. The world will know, unlike Tootsie Pops. Now, Den built a deck that was straight up, get rid of your crap, but don't play Dracula. Now, Dracula's gonna be a very common card with Weapon H. It's a guaranteed 415 when all is said and done, because it keeps ending up in your hand if you can't play it. It's a guaranteed big card. At the same time, I'm constantly looking at that and thinking, why not just keep Apocalypse? Weapon H gives kind of an alternate play line, but then kind of doesn't. So I liked Den's build here that focuses on Proxima Midnight because it's really leaning heavier into the idea of discarding Weapon H and then play it for cheap, as well as the Khonshu line is important. You do have the ability to ramp out using Corvus Glaive, which is also really important. And then Colonel America, nice ongoing that gives an extra amount there because you do have Blade, Zombie Power Man, Gambit, Corvus Glaive, Lady Sif, and MODOK. So 6 cards there that can discard. That's going to be a very good thing for Colonel America. It's going to be a good thing for Morbius. I think that this is, if you're going to go with a no Dracula style build, leaning further into Khonshu, so you don't feel bad if you happened to discard something that you didn't want to discard, Khonshu will bring it back potentially on turn 5 and make it even better. I liked this build. I chose this one from Den because not a lot of the builds don't have Dracula, but the logic behind this one made a lot of sense. Now, Cougar did this build. I actually saw this one in Tucker's video, and I wanted to talk about it because you want to talk about getting cheeky. This is cheeky. Like, this is good, like, good cheeky, though. I loved the idea of what this deck is doing because it has several different play lines. Number one, it's got the Merlin Werewolf shenanigans. Always good. It's running Hawkeye Kate Bishop. You don't feel bad about that. But the Fire Lord Misery play is really important here, because Fire Lord's going to bring back a 3-cost card that you've destroyed. So your ideal play line here is to Misery, the Gambit, or Lady Sif. That's what you're trying to do here. Play Gambit, something discards. That's fine. You're good. All's good. You could bring it back. Bring that same card back again. But if you're keeping Weapon H in the hand and you're doing these discards like that, that's where I actually really like this. And I love the fact that this is all 4-cost and lower, because if you go Lady Sif into Fire Lord into Misery into that, these two alone make Weapon H a 3/14. Just Lady Sif into Fire Lord all by itself makes Weapon H a 3/14, because there's no 5-cost cards or 6-cost cards. So it will always target the Weapon H. And that's the idea behind the deck. And that intrigued me, because as a 3/14 that doesn't proc Werewolf by Night, this is a very cool final turn of the game. You have the ability to get rid of the hood. You've got some extra synergy pieces that you can mess around with Nico Minoru. Blade is a card that you could also Misery on the right turn if the cards are in position in the right way. Because remember, when it discards, it's going to go back to the right side of your hand. If you can discard it twice in the same turn, you do a Lady Sif into Blade, and then boom, boom, that turn 4 just turned Weapon H into a 3/14. Just on turn 4. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make Weapon H a 3-cost card, and this deck, I think, leans into that better than some of the other ones I've seen so far. So I wanted to showcase this one from Cougar because I think it's a very cool play line. My only hesitation card in here is Grandmaster, but outside of that, I think this is a really, really cool idea, and I can't wait to test this one out. Then, I don't know who Chevy is, and I apologize in advance if it's somebody in the community that I do know, but I saw this deck list and I just sat there doing this, like, oh, there's a very specific call out in this deck that I love, and it's Gore. This week, Gore, or at least the next 2 days, Gore is going to be a really, let me be clear on that one more time with a little extra growl, really good card. Because everybody's playing discard. It's all on reveals. The whole board will be on reveals. The season passes destroy. Gore. Like, this is just a no-brainer. So having a deck that runs X-23, Iron Man, and Gore, that the first Ghost Rider can target and be a 2/6 or 2/7, that feels awesome. That feels really awesome. Worst case scenario, it hits a Wolverine and it's a wash for 2 power also, because it goes down to a 2/4, but then it drops on the board as a 2/5. So this deck might be the actual best way to go, because it's not only leaning into the idea of let Khonshu and Weapon H be really truly like the epic pieces here, but you have good targets to just get rid of things if you absolutely need to, and then talk about an incredibly strong turn 6 play. Whether it's Khonshu, whether it's Gore, or you've ramped into it for turn 5, either way, good things are happening here. Like, really good things are happening here. I tried looking at this list and I kept going. I desperately want regular Ghost Rider in here. And it might be for the Proxima Midnight or the Moon Knight. I'm not sure. But the idea of this deck with Weapon H is another one of those super heavy lean-ins saying, look, I've got big cards that do specific discards. Moon Knight doesn't target Weapon H. So you've got 3 potential chances to get the Weapon H down lower and lower and lower. But if you don't, that's okay. Because it's gonna discard the Khonshu. That's cool. It's gonna discard the Wolverine. That's cool. The Proxima Midnight, that's cool. It's got at least a 60% chance that Moon Knight's going to do something helpful for you. And I really thought that was really cool. So this is probably the deck I'm going to open with today, because I think that it's the most unique of the builds. And again, I'll have the successful deck codes down in the description, whether it's this, any of these 4 decks, whether it's the Weapon D, the Hexodia, the Weapon Helitha, or the Series 3 build. There's a bunch of different things that came from all of the content that I've been working on with Weapon H. So now we get the fun part. We get to fast forward in time and take a look and see what happens with Weapon H. All right, so we got to play him for a couple of hours. But remember, I also did the official Marvel Snap video, so I've had a lot more time with Weapon H under my belt in a variety of different decks. And I have several observations that I want to discuss about the card, because for many people, this is it might be their most hyped card of the season because they love playing discard. Just whether it's the APOC discard, Black Knight discard as a small package, or a full dedicated deck. There's several different severe enthusiasts of it. But there are a couple of observations I do want to talk about, specifically in regards to Weapon H, based on past testing as well as today's testing. Because now also, you gotta remember, when we do the Marvel Snap content for the official channel, we're facing in a controlled server. So a lot of what we end up facing are not necessarily the best game actions. With that said, this is a very selfish type of deck typically. So it's not really about your opponent as much. It's more about building the right balance of what the card content can do. And Weapon H wants you to discard repeatedly, right? Here's where the problem comes into line with the card. When you take certain combos that are leaning into what we'll call the cheeky side. So for example, we saw this happen with BLH, with Tucker's deck. If the less you're dedicated to discard, as a full package, the worse this card feels. That's what happens. So in a package that's only running 2, maybe 3 discard cards and that's it, this card definitely feels worse than it actually is, okay? As you move into decks that are more sophisticated towards, not sophisticated, more targeted towards discard as the full package of what the deck wants to do, that's when you start to feel like, okay, Weapon H is getting me tremendous value because I'm able to get this thing down as an odd-costed card. And I want to call out the odd-costed card piece specifically, because in my opinion, Weapon H cannot be played without Corvus Glaive. It can't, for 2 reasons. Turn 5 with ramp allows 3-cost plus 3-cost Weapon H, or turn 6 allows 6-cost something plus 1-cost Weapon H. And the further discard oriented you are as a deck, the better the card does, because it then allows that 3-cost option and that 1-cost option. The 5-cost weapon H is not as good as we thought it was going to be, generally speaking. For example, looking into Cougar's deck, where we were going with the whole Blade, Gambit, Lady Sif, try to bring back the Lady Sif or the Gambit after misering it with the Fire Lord, or get it to proc twice back to back. It's trying too hard to get this to be reduced in a cheeky way. And then it actually ends up interfering with your ability to either A, interact with your opponent, or B, just simply get maximum potential out of your own deck. This is a truly dedicated discard deck. The closest that I felt there could have been something was the Chevy deck. It actually ended up being the worst performing deck of the day, but I think that can be worked on to something better in the future that isn't running X-23, Wolverine, and Moon Knight. I thought there would have been something there. There needs to be a revive mechanic in there in another way. But general rule of thumb, if I look at the decks that I brought to the Marvel Snap video, let me talk about those decks, okay? The Weapon D, right? This runs Swordmaster, Gambit, Corvus Glaive. I mean, look at the amount of discard that's happening there, and it's not running MODOK. It still felt pretty damn good. But it really only felt good by running that whole package when Corvus hit. That's really what it kept coming down to, is Corvus, Corvus, Corvus. The Hexodia style deck of using it as like another Scorn, straight up copium, and you could run a Gambit deck without Scorn, but instead Weapon H. If you don't have Scorn, but you want to run this deck, you can use Weapon H in replacement, similarly to how you could use Apocalypse in replacement. It doesn't mean it makes it better, but it makes it an option. The Helitha deck with Agatha playing this out, this got very close. In my testing, this got very close to being a really, really good deck. Like, really, really good. Very, very close. It's a card or two off. I think it's Jubilee that kept throwing me off. It wants to have the Odin line, and it wants to not be an Agatha deck. It wants to not be an Agatha deck. It wants to lean more into the Isan Hela, Danish Hela style of builds. But in that build, there's something there. There's definitely something in that archetype. I need more discard experts to experiment with that, with the whole Hela, Isan, Danish combination. Hysterically, when it all came down to what deck did best, when all was said and done, it was this one. It was this one. It was the Series 3 deck. And it took me a while to figure out why. But today I know why. The reason it worked is because it's really, truly dedicated to discarding as many things as possible over and over and over and over and over again, right? Blade, Lady Sif, Colleen Wing, Gambit. Wong. Making those all happen multiple times, huge win. MODOK on Wong, huge win. You get to end up with a free Weapon H plus a giant Apocalypse. You have Dracula down, it's a perk. Like, this deck overall was, to me, the best impression. And it speaks to what Weapon H wants to do. Because when you look at the stats of what we did today, it's not promising. It's not. But look at why. The cheekier we got, the worse it got. The more dedicated towards discard, the better it got. So, in my opinion, as a package card, Weapon H is garbage. But as a true discard card, right? A full-on dedicated to playing the full discard deck with multiple outs, with Corvus Glaive. In my opinion, that extra energy from that card is so critically important to making your big plays happen at the very end of the match. That's the card that really sends this over the top. In my opinion, if you do not have Corvus Glaive and you play discard, you can skip this. But if you have Corvus Glaive and you want to play a discard deck, Weapon H is a really good card. And then he's good. So he's a conditional good or garbage. You have to figure out which of the pools of people you fit into. That's really what it comes down to. Which do you fit into? Me personally, discard comes and goes for me as a casual deck. Something I think about, it's something I experiment with, it's something I try out, and I'll deck build and create, unique, cheeky stuff, sure. But if I want to go all in on a discard deck, whether it's the Khonshu line, whether it's the Apocalypse line, I'm not sure which one's better. My gut's going to tell me it's the Apocalypse line with Dracula. Gut tells me that it's that. But I'm not sure yet what the best version of this is after all of the testing for the Marvel video, as well as today's testing. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the discard enthusiasts of Marvel Snap feel about this card after a few days. And they experiment with it, and I have a very safe feeling that people are going to come to the same consensus. That this is not a package card. This is not a cheeky card. This is throw it in your discard deck, and your whole goal is get this to be either 3 cost, 1 cost, or free. That's it. Otherwise, it stays in your hand. You're not trying to force. The more you force it out, the worse it gets. So it is a fun card. Let me be clear here. It is a fun card, but it is a lot more narrow than people expected it to be. So know which discard archetypes you want to play, and then make your decision from there. But as for this channel, for a discard deck, he's good. For a half a discard deck and less, he's garbage. And that'll be my final rating on that. Alrighty? So, actually, this will be posting on Wednesday morning. So by the time, if in the first couple of hours when this goes live, I'm probably live streaming, giving away things, because it's going to be my departure stream, my salutation before I go on vacation. So we'll have some giveaways, we'll have lots of fun stuff. So come on down and hang out if you're watching this on the video's release. Otherwise, there's a whole month load of YouTube content coming out. It's all ready and set to go. I can't wait for you all to enjoy it. But from a live standpoint for YouTube, I'll see you next time.